107.7 3 FM.
Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Sabata Desa Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond this evening. Here on Hot Edition, Parliament passes income tax amendment bill to abolish the betting tax and e-levy and other levies. Will stay with us. We'll get details of what's been happening in Parliament shortly. We're delving deeper in this and also the implications on our national purse, especially with the details of the 2025 budget. Stay with us here on Hot Edition, plus the reactions from some members of Parliament after the decision today to abolish the e-levy and also the betting tax, together with the emissions levy as well. All have received parliamentary approval. So that is the latest from Parliament. Stay with us. Also, 3 individuals petitioned President Mahama to remove the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokono. Will the petitioners succeed in their quest this evening? We explore this constitutional process to remove the Chief Justice and exactly how things are going to play out in the coming days. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We'll also hear from Felix Kwachofosu, who is the Minister in charge of Government Communications and also the spokesperson for John Dramani Mahama. Stay with us. Also expect more rains is the warning from the Ghana Meteorological Agency after Tuesday's downpour wreaks havoc in many places. Stay with us as well here on Hot Edition on this matter. And the lawyers of Kwabena Duwahim and his wife have sued the Attorney General in Ioko over 200 million CDs bail condition. The NPP has also been condemning what they say is a witch hunting of their former appointees. They addressed a press conference earlier today. Stay with us. We've got some reactions for you on that as always. There's the latest in business and sports over the next 1 hour 30 minutes. We're live as well on 3FM 927 on Facebook. For now, let's settle for a summary of the news. Safwa Boahin is here.
Thank you, Alfred. And this is the summary of the news. To our first story, Parliament has approved the repeal of the electronic transaction levy, e-levy, and the 10% betting tax in the 2025 budget. The e-levy introduced in 2022 to boost revenue failed to meet expectations. Finance Minister Dr. Kasia Olatofosen announced the tax cuts during the budget presentation on March 11. Now, away from the President, John Dramani Mahama has begun consultations with the Council of State after receiving 3 petitions seeking the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Tokono. The petitions have been forwarded to the Council as required under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. And also, following yesterday's rainstorm, several vehicles at the ANC Malls parking lot in East Legon were damaged. Vehicle owners are now liaising with management on insurance procedures and moving their cars out of the affected area. And to allow storing on the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG is working to restore power in parts of Kumasi after Wednesday's severe rainstorm caused widespread outages. ECG says the storm, which damaged the power distribution network, led to electrical faults and service disruptions. And this is where we end our news summary segment. And over to you, Alfred.
Sapwa, thank you very much. More news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 102.7 as well on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get to some news just coming through right now. It's a developing story that we've been following quite closely, but we're just getting some information that the former Minister for Railways Development, John Peter Amewu, the former Hohoi MP, has been released following his arrest by the National Security Operatives. That was on Tuesday. That was yesterday, the 25th of March, 2025. John Peter Amewu was reportedly detained for questioning in connection with the $2 million failed SkyTrain project. His arrest is part of ongoing investigations into the botched initiative, according to the Accra which we are monitoring right now, the SkyTrain project, which had allegedly received some $2 million in funding, was found to have failed to achieve its intended objectives, as confirmed by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, in a press briefing on Monday. Let's just do a quick recall exactly what the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, said about the SkyTrain, and with this breaking news that we're hearing right now.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
We can confirm that the $2 million was paid at the request of the chairman of the board of directors of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, that is GIIF, Prof. Ameya Nkufi, and then and then the CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, who is currently hiding in Senegal. We tracked him first and noticed that he was in South Africa. So he left Ghana somewhere around February 2nd, the 2nd of February, to South Africa. So we were monitoring him in South Africa, and then he left South Africa and is now in Senegal. When we contacted him, he told us that he will not come to Ghana until I think he didn't say April, 3 months from now. Okay, so he's given us 3 months to come to Ghana, very much like Ken Oforiatta, right? It reminds me of Ken Oforiatta. So he says he will come to Ghana in 3 months. So we are patiently waiting for him. If he wants to be tried in absentia, that is his choice to make. But we have the prosecutorial authority to prosecute him in absentia, and of course the person who acted with him to transfer that money, the Prof. Ameya Nkufi, is in the country. So if there is going to be delay, we'll start the prosecution with him being a suspect who is being tried in absentia. So on the SkyTrain, we noticed that there was no board approval for the transaction, and the conditions precedent to disbursement had not been met. The other board members and our review of the minutes of the board of directors have confirmed this fact. So we requested for all the minutes, of the board of directors within the period that this transaction occurred. And our perusal of the minutes show quite clearly that there was no board approval. Also, the interrogation has revealed, that the other board members said that they did not have knowledge of this transaction. In fact, there was one of the minutes where one of the members questioned why the GIF was in a hurry to make payment for this transaction, and no, answer of any significance was given to him by the two persons who, skipped and transferred $2 million of taxpayers' money to a Mauritius company. In fact, we tracked the company to Mauritius, and a lawyer in Mauritius has confirmed to us that it is non-existent. But that's also, a developing story. Now, the money, you see, if you are buying shares in a company, that's your equity contribution to that company. The money is supposed to be paid into the shares account of that company. But the money was given to African Investment Holdings. Okay? And when it was paid, we noticed that African Investment Holdings was paid 100,000 United States of American dollars as the GIF's contribution to equity. And then listen to this, 1.9 million was paid to African Investment Holdings as share premium. Now, when you are paying for share premium, for those of you accountants and lawyers, well-versed in corporate law.
So that's the Attorney General, Minister of Justice on Monday, Dr. Dominic Ayine.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
So that's information we're having and following quite closely. The former Minister for Railways Development, John Peter Amewu, was invited for questioning by the National Security Operatives on Tuesday, March 25, 2025. He was released, and Amewu's questioning, we understand, is linked to the $2 million SkyTrain project, which you just heard the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, talk about at the press conference. According to sources, the former appointee's detention was part of the ongoing investigation into this failed SkyTrain project. The SkyTrain project, which had some $2 million allegedly allocated to it, has been confirmed by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, to have not met its objectives. Dr. Ayine, addressing that press conference on Monday, during that briefing, Dr. Ayine also stated that prosecutions related to the SkyTrain scandal are expected to begin by mid-April 2025. So that's a date to watch with respect to the SkyTrain matter. By mid-April 2025, we understand prosecutions related to the SkyTrain scandal are expected to begin. He's also reassured the public that suspects are cooperating with investigators and that efforts are being made to recover any misappropriated public funds. So that's what we have right now. If you recall earlier, Professor Alfred Ocansey, who was then the chair of the Public Procurement Authority, has also been invited for questioning earlier, almost about a month ago. So we're keeping an eye on how things are playing out on this particular issue. But let's go straight to Parliament because it's been busy today. Parliament has abolished a number of taxes and levies. These include the electronic transfer levy, that's e-levy. The emissions levy has also been abolished. And just coming through as well, the betting tax has also been abolished. Let's go on to Parliament right now, and our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Christian Yale, is joining us from the floor of Parliament. Christian, we understand the House went on a 30 minutes break. Have they resumed sitting? Hello, Chris? We'll try to raise Christopher. That's Christian Yale back on the telephone shortly to give us an update on what's happening in Parliament. But let me just give you an idea of the debate in Parliament regarding these taxes that have been abolished.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 be now read the third time. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, question numbered item 50 at page 12 of today's order paper, accordingly moved by the minister responsible for finance. Any seconder?
Yes, Speaker, I second the motion.
Honorable members, the motion is moved and seconded, and it is for the consideration of the House. Honorable members, motion accordingly adopted, and the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is read the third. Honorable members, the question is, those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The volume of the work is making me speed up. Honourable members, the ayes have it.
An act to repeal the Electronic Transfer Levy Act 2022, Act 1075, and the Electronic Transfer Levy Amendment Act 2022, Act 1089, and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the motion is adopted. The Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is now read the third time. Honourable members, the motion is adopted. The Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is now read the third time. Yes, Majority Leader.
That's the First Deputy Speaker there, Bernard Ahiafo, presiding over the business of the House today. Let's go back to Parliament where Christian Yale, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, is there for us. Christian, we understand that the parliamentarians went on a 30 minutes break earlier. Has the House resumed this business now?
No, not yet, Alfred. It appears the leadership is still in conclave, having some discussions backdoor. And so right now, you see a lot of the MPs engaging in friendly chats here and there, awaiting that the House would be recalled to order. Yeah.
I see, but just do a quick recall for us. It's been a very busy day of Parliament approving this whole budgetary proposal of abolishing the e-levy, betting tax, emissions levy. How has that been?
Exactly. So far, it has been only the Finance Committee's report that have been considered so far, which has been a very busy one, just like you said. We started off with, in all, there were a total of 5 financial bills that were laid before the House, taking into the third approvals would be made. So it all started off with the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025, which sought to repeal or abolish the e-levy. And so it was taken for the first time. The second reading was taken, the MPs debated on it with what was seen to be a bipartisan acceptance of the abolishment of the e-levy from both sides of the House, after which it was abolished. But, the majority leader and even the Deputy Finance Minister, Thomas Nyanko Ampim, all made the same argument, stating that the abolishment of the e-levy essentially is going to put a lot of money into the pocket of Ghanaians, because that estimated 2 billion Ghana cedis that government would have raked in each year would now go back to Ghanaians themselves. He, even on a lighter note, made a point that even those who want to marry can do so now, because it's essentially going to make life more comfortable for all Ghanaians. After that, we had the Revenue Administration Amendment Bill 2025 also passed, which is a law that is essentially going to help to amend the 2016 Act that was passed to see to it that there will be a reduction of the amount the Finance Ministry would set aside for the Ghana Revenue Recovery Account. So that was also passed, making the second. The third was the Emissions Levy Repeal Bill 2025, which sought to repeal that bill or that tax. And with that one too, there was a debate on it, basically the minority side making a case for climate change and how the emissions that we see around contribute to that, and what they want the government to do to ensure that the repeal or the abolishment of this bill augurs well for the country in all. But what also, attracted a bit of debate or exchanges was the Income Tax Amendment Bill, which, among many other things, is going to see to the repeal of the betting tax, as well as taxes on gaming and lotteries. And then it will also see to the repeal of the 1.5% withholding tax on unprocessed gold. This side of, or this particular bill attracted a bit of exchanges between both sides of the House, with the Finance Minister making a statement that he is going to more or less seize tax exemptions for one district, one factory project because it was abused previously, with the minority leader, vehemently speaking against that or rebutting that. And even the former finance minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, equally rebutting or denying such claims by the finance minister that the system was abused back then. And so it was out of that we had one MP raised an issue of quorum, that the House did not have the quorum to conduct business, after which the majority leader called for that 30-minute suspension, which 30 minutes have been, passed as of now.
I see. And we also had some minority MPs, NPP MPs, some of them supporting the decision to, as it were, abolish the e-levy and the betting tax. We had the Shayasu MP and then also the former Agric Minister, Brian Echampo, all make comments in that regard. What exactly did they say?
Exactly. So basically, when you listen to the argument made by the Shayasu MP, Dr. Stephen Amoa, he supported, just like you rightly quoted, he supported that. The other concern which they have been making over the period is about how the government is able to make space to rake in more revenue to replace what is going to be lost. And so if we are going to lose an amount of estimatedly 2 billion Ghana cedis annually from e-levy, and now you are going to abolish it, then you must make provision for that to ensure that that same loss is catered for, which the Deputy Finance Minister and even the committee chairman, Isaac Adongo, made a case that is well catered for, as was contained in the budget statement as the Finance Minister a few weeks ago. And then the former Minister, Brian Achampon, equally made the same point with the same reservations that government should take into consideration. But generally, that general acceptance of the repeal or the abolishment was made.
See. And Chris, we understand as well that there's some further business for the House. You have the order paper. Any idea of when they resume sitting, what exactly they're going to be discussing or as it were, also approving with respect to the budget's own details before they bring the business of Parliament to a close today?
Exactly. So there are a number of ministries, or what we call the budget estimate for a number of ministries that are to be laid before the House for consideration. So basically, because we have one more tax or one more bill that is to be considered, which is the VAT, the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill, which is yet to be considered. So that is likely to be on top of the discussion when they resume or when they reconvene, and then possibly a number of budget estimates will be considered for a number of the ministries as well as the independent constitutional bodies.
Chris, appreciate you for this. Thank you so much. Christopher Yale is our reporter and a parliamentary affairs correspondent in Parliament right now. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We'll give you details of exactly how things are playing out in Parliament, because we understand the members of Parliament are on recess as we speak. Stay with us. We'll get some more details when they resume. But this is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, the Chief Justice, Gertrude Isaba Araba Saki Tokono, may just be the first person to either be removed from office if 3 petitions forwarded to the president are successful. In fact, as required by law, President John Mahama has sought the advice of the Council of State, which also has a former Chief Justice as a member, to establish whether the petitions have any merit. Now, this is not the first attempt to remove the Chief Justice, Gertrude Isaba Tokono. Earlier this year, the former President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, dismissed a similar petition filed by Professor Stephen Kweku-Asare, citing lack of merit. Now, this petition, when it signed, accused the Chief Justice of misconduct. That's in the case of Professor Stephen Kweku-Asare. That petition accused the Chief Justice of misconduct and incompetence, specifically alleging irregularities in panel reconstitution, the issuance of practice directions, and constitutional breaches. However, after consulting the Council of State, the former President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, ruled that the claims failed to establish a prima facie case warranting further investigation. Let's first of all hear from the Government Communications Minister and then also MP for Ibrasebo Kwame constituency and also spokesperson for President John Dramani Mahama, Felix Kwatiofosu, on exactly what triggered this release yesterday, because that statement giving details of these 3 petitions against the Chief Justice being forwarded to the Council of State by the President was signed by him. Take a listen to him.
Rules do not permit me or anyone else in government at this stage to disclose any details of the petition. It is at the point where a determination is made by the President in consultation with the Council of State that there is basis to set up a committee to look into it, that such detail can emerge. But as of now, I am constrained in terms of my capacity or ability to disclose anything regarding the specificity of the authors or the content of the petitions. But the President does not need to make any form of determination in terms of merit. He is merely a conveyor belt, and it is his duty to consult the Council of State and make a decision as to whether or not to move the process forward. So we are at that stage currently. And when that determination is made, then the next steps will be followed, as clearly indicated in the Constitution. The Council of State will determine the time that they take to move the process forward. So once they bring in the advice, the President will act accordingly. The Constitution itself anticipates that public office holders, including the President himself, can become the subject of demands for removal based on perceived or alleged wrongdoing. For that reason, the framers of the Constitution put in place rigorous mechanisms to regulate such a process. It is that process that is being followed. It is not the case that once a petition is slapped in, the President proceeds to remove anybody. But the President does not have the power to do so. The Constitution says that it should go through a process involving a committee of persons who should have capacity to make such a determination, including 2 Supreme Court justices. So it is not an arbitrary process based or motivated by any thinking of the President. It is a process laid down by Ghanaian law, which should be followed insofar as every criteria and every threshold is met. So the issue of political motivation does not even arise, because it is not a determination made by the President. It's a determination made by persons who are clearly indicated by the Constitution. I am not able to disclose any detail at this moment. When a determination is made to move the process forward, those details will emerge. Well, the Constitution was written by persons who were well-meaning. And to the extent that the constitutional provisions are followed, there should be no cause for concern in terms of transparency or the lack of it. All that is happening is that the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, which dictates how such a process should be carried forward, is being adhered to. The MPP is in no position to offer any lectures to government on this matter, given the very things that they did. If they thought that President Akufo-Addo had the power to do what he did, and indeed the Constitution said he had the power to do so, and he did so, and they were happy with it, they applauded him, they supported him. On what basis did they seek to impute any motive beyond wanting to follow the Constitution to the letter in this particular process? So the views he is expressing, in my view, are to be dismissed. The President has received petitions. The President swore an oath before the people of Ghana to abide by the dictates of the Constitution. So if he is required to take a step pursuant to constitutional provisions, he must be allowed to do so.
As Phyllis Kwachofosu, he's in charge of government communications, a minister in charge of government communications, and also spokesperson to John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. They're speaking about that statement he issued yesterday, also communicating the decision by the President to refer some 3 petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice, Gertrude Sabatokono, to the Council of State. Well, here's what we do know when it comes to the path that this particular or these 3 petitions will take. The first is what has been done now. After the President receiving these petitions, the President forwards it to indeed and consults the Council of State to determine whether there's a prima facie case. But beyond that, what next? This is why I bring in Christian Mamhesi. He's a private legal practitioner. He's also been monitoring how things are playing out quite closely. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, my brother, and thanks for having me.
First off, now that the President has forwarded these petitions, these 3 petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice to the Council of State, what happens next?
Yes, so there are 3 grounds. I need to state that the 3 main grounds to remove the CJ under the Constitution includes stated misbehavior, incompetence, or on grounds of inability to perform her functions as a result of infirmity of her body or of mind. The mind that she's not compos mentis. She doesn't have the mind to continue her office. Now, it needs to be said that without gleaning vigorously from the petition, the law says that it should be apparent on the face of that particular petition to elicit a prima facie case.
Now, the word prima facie has ventured me into a curious area of constitutional analysis, which I would say. Now, if you come under Article 146, in dealing with the removal of justices of the Superior Court, prima facie is matter after petition has been filed with the CJ. The CJ determines the prima facie case because the CJ is clothed with that legal determination to do that. Now, in the situation of removal of the CJ herself, the petition is done through the president. So where the communications officer mentioned that the president is a conveyor belt, that is agreed to an extent. Now, the petition is forwarded to the Council of State, and then they intend put together a committee of 5. Now, 2 justices of the Superior Court, of the Supreme Court, of which one of them becomes the chair, and then we have the 3 other members whose constitution, they must not be lawyers, must not be members of parliament, and must also not be part of the Council of State. So ordinarily, or meaning they must be ordinary citizens of the land who, in the normal function of their mind, would bring objectivity as lay people and appreciate the matters of as they happen. Now, having said this, if you come further, you realize that the issue about determining a prima facie case, as compared to that of the removal of Superior Court judges, because the determination of a prima facie case acts as a gatekeeping in determining whether this meets the legal remits of the 3 essentials or elements to ground such an application. It is after this that when such application has been determined by the CJ, then it will be referred to a committee for the determination of the matter. So refer to the committee, proceedings will now commence. But in the matter of the CJ herself, the Constitution does not create that. So the determination of a prima facie case is lost. That gate is lost. That legal gate is lost. And it then means that it is for the committee to sit and decide. And when the committee decides that indeed these 3 elements or one of them is well grounded and that can impeach the CJ, they make recommendations, and the president, by virtue of those recommendations, under Article 1469, the president shall act in accordance with the recommendations of the committee. Okay. So you realize that in the situation of this, a certain room of arbitrariness can gain its head. And that is what the framers of the Constitution did not avail their minds to. It can give room for political capture. And that is what the framers of the Constitution did not avail their minds to. Safe to say, it now behoves on the committee to decide on the way forward. Again, it is also good that the committee in the proceedings, natural justice is upheld for the Chief Justice to have her lawyer by her side or any expert thereof as of her choice. That is fine. But again, if you look at the former analysis that I did in respect of the removal of Superior Court judges, of which the CJ is also part of that constitution, there is a prima facie that should be determined. Does it mean that the president passing it on to the Council of State for the committee to be put together, the president has done a prima facie determination? That is one for constitutional experts to think of.
But then again, if you look at Article 146, it clearly states, and I don't know whether we could glean the answer to the question you're asking from there, that... I'm
speaking academically.
Okay.
That it is one for constitutional experts to think of.
But then again, how would the president have determined a prima facie case if the intent and objective of referring it to the Council of State is to have them now, make a determination of whether or not there's a prima facie case?
So that is the lacuna in there, because the president is not cloaked with the legal capacity to determine the prima facie case. So when the honorable communications officer mentioned that the president, there will not be anything, there will not be any this, there will not be any that. Mind you, because when it comes to the CD, the president is the one who would pass it on. In doing that, it is determination of prima facie or otherwise. Because if you analyze it with the situation of the removal of the Superior Court judges, with that one, a legal person, as in the Chief Justice, determines the prima facie situation before the committee is set. But in this situation, that is not done. So I'm only saying that it must be considered under the constitutional review so that it will not grow room or, cause the growth for such political arbitrariness or tooling of political elements to use such lacunas against officers when it deems fit for them.
I see.
I'm not saying that is what is happening. I'm only eulogizing or espousing the academic analysis of Article 146 and the merits and demerits as far as the drafting of this particular clause is, and how it could help and also be a disincentive in constitutional and political processes.
But I'm looking at Article 146, and I'm also following, in that same argument that you're making, that I see a number of layers put in there to ensure that there is, as you put it, a clear and apparent prima facie case on the face of the petition, so that if a decision is taken, I was coming to a point. So if a decision is so communicated and taken, it would have ticked certain boxes. So, for instance, 1462, if after the president consults the Council of State to determine whether there's a prima facie case, if there's no prima facie case, the petition is dismissed. As we've seen in a number of cases with ASEPA against the former Chief Justice Senin Yeboah, that didn't fly. This Professor Kweku Asare one against that's the current Chief Justice Gato Tukono, that didn't also fly because there was no prima facie case or evidence established after the president consulted the Council of State. But then, if a prima facie case is established, there is also that other layer of a committee comprising the 2 Supreme Court justices and 3 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor MPs, nor lawyers, as you indicated, also put together to probe the prima facie evidence or case.
Look at Article 1466. It says that where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of 2 justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom shall be appointed chairman by the President, and 3 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor members of Parliament, nor lawyers. the committee appointed under Clause 6 of this article shall inquire into the petition and recommend to the President whether the Chief Justice ought to be removed from office. So what I'm saying is that as compared to the removal of the other Superior Court judges, there is a legal gatekeeping of determination of a prima facie case before it is referred to the committee for this process or proceedings to carry on, whether to remove or not to remove. But when it comes to the CJ, that gatekeeping, that legal gatekeeping of establishing a prima facie is not there, it's taken. So it just goes straight into the constitution of the committee and the proceedings kick in. And that's what I'm saying, that, and that is the basis of my humble submission, that that lacuna must be subject to the Constitutional Review Committee so that it will not be a tooling for political exigencies.
And I should indicate that it's a question for constitutional law experts to tinker with, and then, but we'll see how the coming days will look like, because this is just the second step that the President has taken after receiving the petition to refer to the Council of State, and then the third step of whether or not there's a prima facie case is what we're going to be waiting for, is it not?
So in this, there's nothing like a determination of a prima facie case in it. That's what I'm correcting you on. With the CJ, there's nothing like a determination of a prima facie case. The committee would hear the matter. It is a whole proceeding that is going to happen. The committee will hear the matter in the presence of CJ's lawyer, because CJ must be given the opportunity to respond to the petitions so served on her. So the matter will be determined simpliciter as it is being heard. But if you compare it to the other removal of proceedings, as far as the Superior Court judges are concerned, there is a first gatekeeping. So there is a first step that is determined on prima facie, and then the second step is the proceedings. But with the CJ, there is no first step of prima facie. It just goes to the second. So the second now becomes the first. And that's what I'm saying, that it can be an incentive for political tooling and exigencies as against the existence of a prima facie case to determine whether the petitions are so filed against the CD are meritorious. It's prima facie laid. Whether it should even continue for a committee to hear it or not has not been dealt with by the Constitution under Article 1466. And that's the simple point that I'm trying to make.
And indeed, we'll see.
As far as this Constitution is concerned, the President is going according to it. Because if you raise any question of a constitutional matter, the President will tell you that I'm following the procedures. That's true. But in terms of constitutional analysis, some experts would raise the point that I am raising.
I thank you for your thoughts, and we'll see how the coming days will look like on this. Appreciate it.
All right.
Christian Mamhese is private legal practitioner there. He's not the only one who's been speaking on this. Kweku Asari, former director of the Ghana School of Law, has also been reacting to these petitions as announced yesterday. 3 of them, he says, there are just too many petitions. He spoke on the TV3's News Central earlier today.
Yes, I'm not surprised. But let me say that the petitions are becoming one too many. They must come to an end. And lot of them are frivolous. So most of them should no longer be entertained to bring an end to the mushrooming of petitions.
I see. I want us to focus particularly on Chief Justice Tokonu, also because this will be the 4th petition against her. Based on history, she will be the only Chief Justice in this 4th Republic to have as many as 4 petitions against her removal. Do you still consider that frivolous?
But my sister, it is not the quantity of petitions that should concern us, but the quality of the petitions. In order for the petition to be looked at all by the constitutional bodies or persons mandated to examine such petitions. You need to find out first, what the criterion is. If you look at Article 146, Clause 4, where the Chief Justice decides to go into or inquire into a petition, the Constitution says that there must be a prima facie case. So unless a petition raises a prima facie case, it should not be entertained. In the case of the removal of the Chief Justice, the prima facie case element is missing. And this has given some worrying concerns as to whether any petition, regardless of its frivolity, must necessarily be entertained by the president for onward submission to the Council of State. So let's be cautious, in entertaining the petitions, that are emerging. A lot of them are frivolous and vexatious. I heard you say that one of the petitions against former Chief Justice Georgina, former Chief Justice Kufu, talked about judicial interference. Then in the current case, talk on this case, they raised allegations of judicial interference. Do you have the evidence?
That's Sorry, there, a former director of the Ghana School of Law. But away from that, the National Association of Graduate Teachers have called on President John Mahama to immediately remove the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Smile GC, at a news conference addressed by the President of NAGRAT, Angel Kabonu. The association said that it is ready to meet the President to discuss appointment into the Ghana Education Service, and any failure may result in an industrial disharmony.
The position taken by NAGRAT is based on the principle that pre-tertiary institutions have capable men and women to man the various positions, and that the Ghana Education Service is part of public service with its own public service rules and regulations. There are minimum qualifications of entry, rules and regulations for promotion, and the various ranks established in the conditions of service that will make people who operate in that space apply to. Unfortunately, these days, political appointment is so rampant in the public and civil service that in the case of the Ghana Education Service, people have been appointed to senior positions to perform duties that people who have operated in that space for many years, have upgraded and developed themselves for many years, and have gone through interviews, are not even placed in that position.
Meanwhile, Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG, Isaac Bampoado, who was also present at a news conference, said CLOCSAG will solidarize with NAGRAT if it declares a strike.
Our Constitution says in Article 195 that yes, appointments of persons into the public services to hold or act rests with the President. But that appointment must be made according to the advice of the Council in collaboration with the Public Services Commission. To the best of our knowledge, as we speak now, almost all the councils of public services are not in place. They've been dissolved. So these appointments that are being made, where is advice coming from? Because according to the Constitution, appointments must be made in accordance. That means the President must not deviate from the advice that will come from the Council, in accordance with the advice of the Council. So please, Mr. President, let's all comply with provisions in the Constitution. We'll be writing to the Minister for Jobs and Employment that we want to sit down and talk to the president. We know he's a listening president. We want to talk to him.
Oh, so that's Isaac Bampuado there. But before we go for the business news, the Ghana Meteorological Agency has warned of more rains as the country moves into the rainy season. This is after rains wreaked havoc in parts of the capital, destroying several property. I speak to Felicity Ahafianyo, Chief Weather Forecaster at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Felicity, it's always good to talk to you. We've just had some rains some few hours ago. How's the forecast looking like in the rest of the day?
Yeah, thanks so much and good evening. For the rest of the day, we still expect it to be cloudy over the southern sector and parts of the transition zone with rain occurring over most places. The capital, Greater Accra, we still expect some rain this evening over places. Those in central and western region to Ashanti is also earmarked for some rains and thunder. Volta region, part of Oti into eastern region too, we expect some rain and thunder. Also for the fisher folks on the sea, we have some system passing over the ocean, so they should also expect rain and possible thunder with lightning. Those in the northern sector, we expect them to have a partly cloudy, especially those in Navrongo, Bolgatanga, Boku, Sandema areas. But those of us in Tamale, Yendi, into Boliwa, we have some low chances of rain and thunder affecting them this evening.
And yesterday we saw the rains accompanied by some strong winds that led to the destruction of billboards, some structures serving as car parks for some places as well, malls and so on. Is this going to continue in the coming days?
Yes, it's going to continue in the coming days over other places, especially over the Uti region, part of Volta, part of Eastern region, part of Ashanti region are also likely to experience that type of rainstorm, which is likely to be accompanied with moderate to strong winds, and it's also likely to result into causing some damages to some old trees and then some weak structures here and there. So this is the time that we should check our infrastructures to make sure that they are firm, and then the trees that are old and have loose ends, we get rid of them, and then the billboards too, we need to make sure that it's also firm on the ground so that it doesn't cause any havoc to human beings and then maybe vehicles that are parked under them.
And we've seen, as usual, just few millimeters of rain, and then there's flooding, in Accra, as you've monitored as well. Are we going to be having a lot more of these heavy rains, but within a short period, as was the case yesterday with the havoc that we saw?
Yes, currently I was coming all the way from Cape Coast. When you get to Bujumbura, all the way to Kasua enclaves too, we are having flash flooding around the area. So the place is very, very choked. Vehicles are parked, and the movement is very slow. And you can see the runoff waters, the current is a bit high. So yes, once we have deep convective systems, it will definitely result into this sort of flash flooding between now up to May, until when the ground is saturated, when we'll have the waters standing for longer days before they get rid of themselves.
What would be that advice to the people who are listening to us right now on how to handle themselves in the coming days regarding the expected rains?
With what I've witnessed just this evening, about an hour ago, those that lives around the Kaswa enclaves, they need to do something about their plight that they have been going through. The assembly members or the municipal members need to do something about the road and the gutters so that the runoff waters can go off easily to its destination to make way for vehicles to pass through. And then on our own too, they need to do communal labor to see how best they can find solutions among themselves instead of waiting for government to come in. We know with government it goes through a lot of protocols, issues here and there. But then if they themselves can come together and see what they can do together with an expert, I believe that some of these things will find solutions to it. Then we need to be getting the forecast as you have been doing, Media General. I will applaud you. You have been doing so well. So let's intensify. Other sister stations should also come on board. And as individuals, let's hook up with a GMET and get our forecast on daily basis so you know when the rains are coming and you can prepare ahead of time.
Felicity Ahafianyo, as always, appreciate you for coming through. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As Felicity Ahafianyo is the chief weather forecaster at the Ghana Meteorological Agency there. So live here on Hot Edition. We're back shortly with the latest in the world of business. Bismarck Ewusa is standing by after this quick break. Stay with us.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ewusa. Coming up tonight, government to offset e-levy revenue shortfall through cut in tax refund ceiling as Parliament officially repeals electronic transfer levy bill pending presidential assent. Thanks for your company. Now to the detail. Parliament has officially repealed the electronic transfer levy, e-levy, a tax on electronic transactions that had been a point of contention since its introduction in 2022. This legislative action follows the proposal made by Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen in the 2025 budget and economic statement presented earlier in March. The e-levy, which imposed a 1% charge on electronic transactions, faced significant public opposition and was criticized for hindering digital financial inclusion. In his budget presentation, Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen emphasized the government's commitment to alleviating the financial burden on citizens by removing what he termed nuisance taxes. To offset the revenue shortfall from the repeal of the e-levy and other taxes, the government plans to reduce the tax refund ceiling from 6% to 4%, a measure projected to generate approximately 3.8 billion cedis. This amount is expected to cover the losses from the e-levy of 1.9 billion cedis and the betting tax of approximately 180 million cedis. Experts suggest that improving tax compliance, broadening the tax base, and boosting key revenue sectors such as manufacturing and exports could help mitigate potential fiscal risks. Meanwhile, stakeholders in the digital finance space anticipate a resurgence in mobile money transactions and e-commerce activities following the repeal. And that was a report on government's plan to offset e-levy revenue shortfall through cut in tax refund ceiling as Parliament officially repeals electronic transfer levy bill pending presidential assent. Moving on, the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSI, is calling on the Minister of Energy and Green Transition to launch an immediate investigation into the disappearance of over 1,300 ECG containers at the Tema port. Director of SEMSI, Benjamin Nsia, has characterized the incident as theft, expressing strong suspicion that the containers were stolen by a well-organized syndicate.
None would have been able to go there to steal without the consent of the Commissioner of Customs or certain workers at GRA. None would have even gone there to make an attempt to take these goods without the consent of ECG and ECG staff. And none would have been able to go there to also take these containers without the consent of national security, because most of the GRA installations at the port are also national security installation. So what you think might have happened is an organized crime syndicate of individuals from GRA, from ECG, and also from certain private participants who colluded or came together to take these goods out of the port. And what we think a government must do now, aside the auditing, must investigate and actually name and prosecute these individuals who were engaged in this process of clearing these goods out of the port.
Benjamin Nsia is director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSI. Before we go, the Advertising Association of Ghana has attributed the frequent collapse of billboards across the country to a lack of effective regulation. According to Executive Director of the association, Isaac Kujo, over 70% of outdoor advertisers operate without regulatory oversight, contributing to the alarming rate of billboard collapses. This concern is highlighted by the recent collapse of multiple billboards in Accra, particularly around the Accra Mall and East Legon, following a rainstorm yesterday evening.
This malaise will continue if we don't have the appetite to regulate advertising properly in this country. And governments have not shown that appetite to regulate the advertising industry. Now, AAG has pushed for an advertising bill to be passed in Parliament. The previous government, we engaged the Parliament a number of times. The bill was there. It was not attended to. We are believing that this government will have the appetite to do that. Now, if you don't regulate this industry, especially the outdoor sector, it's a time bomb because it's lucrative, okay, and so people get in there. 70% of the people who own the billboards you're seeing are not members of AAG. So they are not under any, they are not regulated by any code of conduct. Our members who are in the outdoor sector are regulated by code of conduct. You cannot practice outdoor anyhow.
And that was Executive Director of the Advertising Association of Ghana, Isaac Kujo, ending the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Awusa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Billy Shen is here for the sport. Do stay.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, to our first story, Black Stars Management Committee Chairman, that is Dr. Randy Abbey, has extolled Minister for Sport and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Adams, for his contributions to Ghana's 2026 World Cup qualifying victories. The Black Stars picked up a first win in 6 games when they thumped Chad by 5-0 on Friday in Accra, before beating Madagascar by 3-0 in Morocco on Monday. Now, Friday's win ended a 9-month winless spell for the Black Stars, maintaining their impressive form in the World Cup qualifiers in the process. Speaking to 3 Sports about the upsurge, Dr. Randy Abbey attributed the victories to the preparation put in place by Honorable Kofi Adams.
Very, very instrumental. If you know what he went through to ensure that, 1, the stadium was ready, 2, all what the team required was ready. I mean, he had to. There was a day that I was with him till 2 a.m., just to make sure that everything was available for this team. He worked extremely, extremely well. He did everything, that a minister should do, even including doing things out of the ordinary to ensure that everything will go on smoothly. And I'd like to thank him a lot for what he's done for the team. And I hope that we'll continue working together as a team and continue to do what we need to do for Ghana football.
That was Dr. Randy Abbey, the chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee. Now, Ghana's thrilling victory over Chad has been marred by concerns over lax safety protocols, with Suami MP John Darko slamming the overcrowding of the VVIP area and the unauthorized use of a closed stand. Speaking on the floor of Parliament on Tuesday, John Darko pleaded with the Sports Minister to address such concerns before it gets out of hand.
On Friday, for the first time, I went to the VVIP section, Christ Sports Stadium, and I was amazed that the VVIP session was so overbooked, was so overcrowded, and that members who were sitting could not even see the stadium to watch the ball. And then on the right side of the stadium from the VVIP session, a particular part of the stadium had been blocked for safety reasons. In the course of the match, the particular session was opened and the place was filled up. In fact, it took an announcer at the stadium to warn the spectators not to lean on the metal rail guards at the stadium. Mr. Speaker, we've known and we've seen the stadium disaster, May 9 disaster, what it caused this nation. And so I'm using this opportunity to appeal to the Sports Ministry, the GFA, and the officials in charge of the stadium to be wary of the way they issue tickets when we play football matches in this country.
That was MP John Darko there speaking. Now, meanwhile, Ghana Olympic Committee President Ben Nunu Mensah has announced he will not seek re-election in the next month's GOC elections, bringing an end to his 2-term tenure. The 61-year-old businessman, who first assumed office in 2017, led Ghana's participation at both the Tokyo and Paris Olympic Games. In a statement, Nunu Mensah expressed his decision to step away and pursue other opportunities. He said, in quotes, "I wish to confirm that while it would have been an honor to continue serving my nation and the sports community in this capacity, there is a greater call to serve humanity in a different and equally fulfilling way. I accordingly want to move on and will not contest in the upcoming GOC elections." End quote. Now, in a refreshingly honest confession, Jordan Ayew has shared a bittersweet reality of being a jack of all trades. In an interview with sports journalist Daniel Cranting, the Leicester City forward has revealed how his versatility has brought both boundless opportunities and frustrating identity crisis throughout his career.
The versatility is something that I think that affected me a little bit because, like, for instance, at some point in Ghana, I played maybe for 2-3 years, I was on the wing. Yeah. Do you understand? And after some time, then up front, I started up front, then in the wing, then up front, So it's something, but I don't have a problem with it. I just want to be on the pitch. I just want to enjoy myself and play football, you know. So even, for instance, Vieira, we spoke. He's a very good manager. We have really had a good relationship, you know. And he just told me that he needs me at this position. He gave me the reasons why, and I said, okay, cool. You are the boss. You think this what is good for your squad and your team. I'm paid to do it. No problem. I'll do it. So that's how, you know, that's the type of player I am. I'm someone, I don't like to complain. I just want to play football and enjoy myself, because I started playing football when I was 5 or 6, you know, and I was always enjoying myself. So that's what I always want to do. When I wake up in the morning, I'm lucky to play football, to be going to training every morning, to be enjoying myself with my
That was Jordan Ayew speaking there. Now, La Liga is back in action after a 2-week break, and FC Barcelona is set to take on Osasuna on Thursday in a rescheduled match that was postponed due to the passing of Barcelona's medical doctor, Carlos Minari Garcia. Despite facing challenges with key players away on national duty, Barcelona's head coach is confident that his team is ready to take on the task ahead.
At the end of the season, I think every week or every match is it's a big thing. So I think you cannot win the Copa, you cannot win the Champions League, but you can lose it, and this is what we don't want to do. So we are focused on these matches. Also, it doesn't matter if we have only 3 days between the next match. It's like that, and we have to accept it. And I think the teams are really fit, and and I think we have to be ready for this big task. But I'm looking very positive about this.
That was Hansi Flick, the head coach of Barcelona. Before I do go, in England, Arsenal goalkeeper David Raya expressed optimism about the team's prospects, stating that the Gunners are headed in the right direction to accomplish their goals. Speaking to Sky Sports, the Spanish goalkeeper emphasized his conviction that Arsenal is on a trajectory to secure some silverware.
It's a great club, and the team is incredible. I think we are going in the right direction to achieve things together. It's just a matter of time on when it will happen. You know, everybody wants to win the Champions League, and everybody knows how hard it is. But we are very, very excited. Now we have a big challenge ahead, playing against Real Madrid. But those type of games, that's the ones that you really wanted to play when you were young. So those are the types of games everybody wants to play. So very, very excited to see where that goes.
That was David Raya, Arsenal goalkeeper and Spain's national team goalkeeper. Bringing an end to sports here on the 3FM Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Bill Ishen, and we have Alfred and the rest of the team on standby with a lot more.
In a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact act triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start, sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and Usual Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Welcome back. Some 15 minutes after 6 live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's go back to Parliament, because Parliament has passed the income tax, that's amendment bill, which abolishes the controversial betting tax, and then also the electronic transfer levy, that's an e-levy. These bills will now be forwarded to President John Mahama's desk for assent. The betting tax imposed on sports betting and other related wagers has also been a focal point of public discontent and industry criticism. The NDC, government and stakeholders in the betting sector argued that the tax stifles growth in a sector that contributes sustainable development to also the economy. Now, what we are seeing right now is that decision approved by Parliament, awaiting the president's assent, and also some reactions from stakeholders on this. It's not just the betting tax. The e-levy has also been approved to be removed or abolished, awaiting the president's assent as well. Ivan Sotunfo is with the Momo Vendors Association of Ghana. He is a leader of this particular association, is joining us on the telephone right now. So, Tunfo, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition. This certainly must come with some good news for you, hearing that the e-levy has been abolished.
Certainly so, Alfred. We have really been looking forward to a day like this, where a tax handle has become very burdensome to our business and customers alike taken off. And so if today Parliament has actually passed the bill waiting to be assented to by the President for the cancellation or the scrapping to finally take off for effect, is something that we believe it is worth commendable, and we believe that this is really going to translate into good business. It is really going to lift burden of persons who find themselves within the low income range, and then to businesses also, most importantly, because we are within that business space, and the e-levy has really cost.
You have just
days, months, and quarters, we are really going to experience exponential business growth.
And do appreciate it for this initial reaction to this. And let me just put it on record that this is Parliament just approving that proposal to remove or abolish the e-levy and the betting tax. And in fact, the emissions levy has also been approved to be abolished. All these three are awaiting presidential assent. So until President John Dramani Mahama puts an assent to it, well, we still have it on our books, but Parliament has taken that decision. So this is one I will keep an eye on. But let's go back to Parliament right now, because they have reconvened after that 30 minutes break. And this is what is happening in Parliament right now.
As for other government activities, he indicated that for the last couple of years, there is a total of 28 billion that has accrued to the account, and only 12 billion have been spent so far. Under the circumstances, he wants to reduce the ceiling from up to 6% to from up to 4%. This will make available a room of about 3.8 billion as a fiscal impact of this bill. Having considered the rationale behind this policy, the committee agreed that this bill should be recommended to the House for approval on a unanimous basis. Mr. Speaker, I so submit the committee's report and wish to plead that the entire report should be captured as though same was read to the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, the motion for second reading was moved, and the committee's report has also been presented. It is for the consideration of the House under Standing Order 167 I will then open the floor for full debate. Yes, the ranking member, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we support this amendment, and that is why at committee we recommended this for consideration by the House by unanimous decision. What I'd like to correct, however, is an impression as if this is going to make a savings for the government of about 3.8 billion Ghana cedis, as stated in paragraph 6.6 under fiscal impact analysis of the bill. The minister indicated to the committee, as captured by this report, that between 43 to 49% is usually spent. And according to the Revenue Administration Act, Section 63, subsection 3, what is not spent at the end of the calendar year should be moved to the consolidated fund.
And this is what's happening in Parliament as we speak. And you hear the chair of the Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, speaking earlier, and the ranking on this same Finance Committee and former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, is on the floor as we speak. Now, Evans Otufo is back on the telephone with us. Now, what are the direct benefits of this process, as it were, to abolish the e-levy, especially on your business as mobile money vendors?
Yes, so it is really going to bring back the confidence that was aborted as a result of the implementation of the e-levy from our customers. You know, just after or prior to the implementation of the e-levy, we have seen certain consumer behavior which wasn't in the best interest of the business. People have decided to cut down their volumes or how often they use the mobile money as a means of sending and receiving fund. Then again, others have also decided for a reason being that they are not ready to pay any form of levy, have also decided not to use mobile money again. And this even is an affront to government's intention to go to the cashlight ways of doing business. And all of these things have direct negative impact on the revenues of mobile money agents and then the business as a whole. Now, what again it means is that mobile money agents wouldn't be impacted by the e-levy in the sense that agents that transfer their funds to banks and then to merchant accounts where initially were being subjected to e-levy, all of these experiences are going to be taken off. Agents have to get their working capital reduced drastically as a result of certain deductions that we are made to experience all as a result of the implementation of the e-levy. Now the volumes too, we are really going to experience some exponential growth. That's at the introduction of the e-levy surveys that we have conducted. We have to lay off some of our employees. Others will have to also close down a number of their businesses or outlets just to be able to avoid or contain the shock that came with the e-levy. So we believe that yes, digital uptake is really going to be enhanced. A lot of people are really going to resume the usage of the mobile money platform as a major driver of their payment for goods and services. So it is really in the best interest of our businesses, and we are really looking forward to a time where the data that would be coming up will be justifying yes, the impact of the e-levy, and then the impact of, we having a business or a platform that is not subjected to any form of e-levy.
Evans, appreciate you for this. Thank you so much for joining us, and so we're going to be talking some more. Thank you.
You're welcome, Alfred.
Evans of Otumfor is one of the senior executives of the Mobile Money Vendors Association of Ghana. There, so live here on Hot Edition, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W 93.5 in and beyond. President John Mahama says his government of the NDC holds no animosity against the judiciary despite its criticism in recent past. Then candidate John Mahama is on record to have called out the past administration of packing the courts with party affiliates that will endanger some form of misapplication of justice. At a meeting with the Ghana Bar Association, the president says his government is willing to work with the bar to ensure there's rule of law and justice.
Thank you. Please resume your seats. Thank you very much. We had not anticipated that you come in such numbers, and so that's why we're holding it here in this auditorium. We would have hosted you in our conference room, would have all been very nicely seated. Now, we're here like a courtroom. I'm a sole judge presiding. And so I'm sorry, but I'm happy that we're able to accommodate all of you, especially our colleagues from the regions. You're all warmly welcome. I want to thank you very much for this call, and I believe you are one of the first professional groups to call and congratulate us since we assumed office on 7th January. And so we're very grateful for that. We know the Bar Association is a very prominent association amongst all the professional bodies in Ghana. And you have been strong advocates for the rule of law, for respect for human rights, for respect for the Constitution, freedoms, and all that. And I believe that that role you play is important for our society to progress. And so, as I've told civil society organizations and all of them, they must have the freedom to point out when things are not going the way they should. Because in our local parlance, we say the one who cuts the path does not know when it's going crooked. It's those who are standing and watching who can see that it's going crooked. So we'll appreciate, whatever feedback you give. And I believe that that's how government should be. Government should be tolerant to a varied opinion, because it helps you go stronger, it helps you do much better. I recognize the upcoming assignments you have, the African Bar. I think, if I remember rightly, that's what got my uncle Okujeto in trouble some years back when, I think it was an African Bar Association conference here, when he boomed and came under a lot of attacks. So we're happy to welcome the African Bar, and whatever role government can play, don't hesitate to let us know, to welcome our colleagues from all over the continent as a proud nation. Government will support you in every way. We're happy also that you're going to WA for your national bar. I don't know if this is the first time in the northern part. No, Tamale? Oh, you've done Bolga. Okay, so it's WA this time. Yeah. You've done Tamale? Yeah, okay. All right, but this is the first time in Upper West. Okay, fantastic. No, so they'll be happy to receive you, and if you invite us, we'll come and grace the occasion too. With regards to the courts, I think that we're making progress bit by bit. We've come a long way since the 24 February Roads Courts. What was it called? Cocoa Affairs or something? I don't know how many of you practice in those courts, but that was the most. Anybody who's above a certain number of years at the bar would have practiced there. Yeah, so gradually we must get all the courts, up to the standard, so that it creates an environment, a conducive environment for justice.
So that's President John Dramani Mahama there. There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight, which is also live on 3FM 92.7. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you so much for staying with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a great evening.